Hello and welcome to my video. In this video, we'll be taking advantage of Wolfgang's new skill tree to defeat every single boss in the game, including the 3 new mutated ones. This puts the boss list up to 20 by the way. As usual, this is a solo run because no friends. Anyway, Wolfgang's skill tree is the simplest one yet. Wolfgang has a passive ability of having a 1% chance of one-hitting trees when chopping and rocks when mining. The chores tab increases this chance to 5, 10 and 15% respectively. Coach Wolfgang is a skill that I will not be using in this run, but I have to pick it to have access to the lag day skill. That makes normal Wolfgang 10% faster in normal form. Dumbbell Developer allows Wolfgang to craft new dumbbells, the thermal, the ice and the fire dumbbells, and Heavy Hitter increases the dumbbell's damage. We won't see the thermal or fire dumbbells, but the ice dumbbell will be pretty important for this run, as you will see. And in the Might tab section, we have mighty weapons from 1 to 5 that increases the planar damage in planar weapons by 5 each. I'm going up to 4 here simply because that's how many points I have to spare. As I said, this skill tree is the simplest one, and there isn't really many choices. And for the final affinity, I've chosen the lunar one that gives me extra damage against shadow creatures. I've chosen this affinity because currently in a boss run you will face a lot more shadow creatures than lunar ones, but this choice doesn't really make much difference in my opinion. Either way is fine. We spent the first day mining in the Mosaic biome. Apparently, mining the rocks in this biome increases the chance for the moon orb to spawn early, and we want it as soon as possible because one of the major goals for this run is to defeat Celestial Champion as fast as possible to turn on the rifts, which is needed to fight the new mutated bosses. But that's a bit soon to talk about. We eventually find our way to this pig village, where we spend some time evicting pigs and demolishing their homes. But don't worry, while this seems evil, we also end their pain swiftly. Oh yeah, I should mention that this was recorded during the beta for the mutated bosses updates, so if something looks weird, that's the reason. At day 5 we finally find the set piece for the terrarium, and of course, it's always the worst one. Frick, I hate this set piece so much. And I hate that you cannot click on the freaking... You can't click on it. At day 7, I decided to finally set base. I chose this location for a few reasons. I'm close to a sinkhole that leads me to the Blue Mush Forest. It's close to Dragonfly, and also there's a somewhat close by wormhole that leads me to the other side of the map, close to the Moon Altar Forest, which cuts the time wasted walking around. At night, I fought the Eye of Terror. However, I got a bit unlucky with this poorly timed Hound Wave. And even though it was only one, it still delayed me just enough so the boss was a couple hits away from being defeated, which means I have to wait for another night to defeat it, and only then go to the caves. I took the time to make a piggy backpack. As you might know already, Mighty Wolfgang suffers no speed penalty from this backpack, so as long as I'm mighty, I get to have a lot of extra slots to make inventory management easier. And even when I'm in normal form, the 10% extra speed I get from the skill still makes it viable. But you will see me going back to the normal backpack later in this run, when I decide it's better to stay in normal form to take advantage of the extra speed. This is a little late for a Wolfgang run, but at the night of day 8, the Eye of Terror has been defeated. As you will notice, this run is not particularly fast, but I will talk about why that doesn't matter in the end of the video. So we go to the caves. We make a quick stop at the Blue Mush Forest to get some healing, and we explore to find the ruins. Later at day 11, we enter the maze and soon enough we find our way through it to find Ancient Guardian. As Wolfgang, it is a quick and easy fight, and the loot is pretty good. Now we are mainly looking for the full station and to get some purple gems for Crab King. We found the station and crafted everything we needed, but unfortunately I don't have a lot of time on my hands. I still gotta return to the surface to assemble the marble pieces for the fights at day 21. So we rushed out of the ruins straight to the Nightmare Werepig and we started the fights. For some reason I always get a warm wave when fighting this boss. And at this point, I'm too afraid to ask why. Maybe the Don't Starve gods hate me or something. So back on the surface, we get to the heavy statue carrying job. That was done surprisingly quickly, as I've already located all the marble pieces. I guess I rushed the ruins a little too fast. But with time on our hands, we went to the Lunar Islands. Found the message in a bottle on our way there. And we freed the altar pieces. So we spent the next few days gathering resources for Pearl's tasks, which is the main priority right now. And at day 21, we fight the shadow pieces. Easy fight as Wolfgang, as always. Few more days of gathering resources. As the snow starts to fall, we pay a visit to Pearl to fix her island. And hey, we found Crab King. So at day 27, before I end up forgetting about it completely and missing the opportunity of fighting this boss on the first tier, I found the deers, the stash, and fought claws. And the loot was pretty lame. And taking advantage of the long winter nights, we summoned the Twins of Terror at day 28. Let's just say I was a little bit overconfident with this fight when I shouldn't be. They hit pretty hard and they are quite fast, and there's 2 of them. Pan flutes are powerful, but they have a pretty major downside. When you start playing it, you can't cancel the animation, so if your time is off, it can be really bad. Oh, got stuck on a freaking crockpot. Scary moment. Oh gosh. Not like this! Not like this! And yeah, tough moments, but we managed to survive. Next night, we managed to completely defeat the Twins, scratching another boss from the list. So I decided to set up the moon altar for the event as we wait for deer clubs at day 30. And we chilled until the night of day 31. If you're trying this setup, make sure to make the entrance side a little bit bigger with a couple more statues. If it is as small as the one I've made, the enemies will attack the walls. But since I'm Wolfgang, it's not too big of an issue, I can make quick work of them. And for the remaining winter days, I worked on the Shadow Manipulator. And realizing I don't have enough purple gems for Crab King, I dug up the graves on the nearby forest for blues and reds, so I could combine them into purples. And I got pretty lucky here, the gem RNG from graves was pretty much flawless. So I've decided to go to the archives to get the astro detector and get some Tulosites. Back at base, we make 6 ice dumbbells. You will see why in just a little bit. We slaughtered the moose goose invading our base and then the moslings. At day 39, we went to give Pearl the umbrella and kill the lure plants on her island. Meaning we only have to find the cookie cutter shells to complete her house and then get the pearl. So after what it feels like forever, and it was, we found a salt formation getting the shells needed for a pearl. But since we completed the task in the afternoon, we actually have to wait the whole day and night because she only gives you the pearl at daytime. What a fun and well thought requirement. But with the pearl achieved, we can finally fight Crab King. Oh, a shark! My favorite thing in the world! It is actually much better to have it appearing before the fight. If a shark decided to attack me mid-fight, it would ruin everything, and this would be my reaction. Anyway, this is the whole strategy. We throw ice dumbbells really fast, and we win. When using purple gems, all of Crab King's attacks have a casting time, and within this time you can throw 3 dumbbells, which is just fast enough to freeze it before any of its attacks triggers. Which means if you do it correctly, Crab King will never deal any attacks throughout the entire fight. With the skills for extra damage on the dumbbells, I'm dealing 170 damage per hit, which makes this strategy viable. But it is a little expensive given that you need 6 ice dumbbells to finish the fights. And while this is slightly cheesy, it is not as easy as it looks. If you're trying this strategy out, you should practice beforehand. The timing is short and it's very easy to mess up. While it might look like I'm calm and composed, I'm actually mashing my keyboard and mouse to make sure everything goes as planned. And well, it's GG. And at day 46, moonstorms are active. I grinded for all of the experiments, and at day 49 I got the moon orb just in time. I collected some blue caps to lower my sanity and restore my health during the fights. And I collected the infused moon shard last because it spoils rather quickly and I still haven't fought Bee Queen for bundle wraps. So I went to Lunar Islands at day 52 and started the Celestial Champion fights. I actually did a no-hit fight until this point, not bad at all. But as always, despite of being one of the final bosses of the game, it's a pretty easy and fair fight, especially if you have dark swords and double damage. With the champion dead, we start the Lunar Rifts by giving Wagstaff a crown shard, dropped by Celestial Champion. And now we wait for the Lunar Rifts to appear and fully expand, but that will take a full season. I decided to reactivate the altars and restart the moonstorms so I could complete another moon altar events and have free light every night. So we got the other moonstaff for summer. And I decided to give fishing a go to spawn Malbatross. I didn't get lucky, but throughout my sea exploration I found like 6 or 7 bass trolls, so I just sailed to the next one and tried again to spawn her. Shortly after, we fought Antlion, scratching yet another name off of the list. And after some prepping at day 62, I fought Bee Queen. Since I defeated Celestial Champion, I've faced 3 bosses, and you might be wondering why I'm not grinding for the new Brightshade items to kill them. Well, as I said before, we have to wait until the end of summer. The rift doesn't instantly spawn in the world. It takes somewhere around 15 days for it to spawn and grow to the final stage, and only then Brightshade plants will spawn, and they are currently the only source of husks, which is needed for every craft. I don't really enjoy waiting around, so I'm using this time to kill the bosses that are still remaining. But also the new items are not particularly useful for those fights anyway. With that said, after killing Bee Queen, we went for Toadstool. With Glass Axes and Wolfgang's ability to critical hit the trees every once in a while, the fight is pretty easy. I only brought 1 water paint just to use it on the trees that end up spawning in the spore clouds. So the fight went by pretty quickly, around 8 minutes from start to finish. So after the fight, we gather some fossils. And there's another boss we are missing, Dragonfly. Usually as Wolfgang, you want to defeat her before going to the ruins, since she drops all sorts of gems that you can use there. But with the goal of killing Celestial Champion as early as possible, I decided to rely more on the gem RNG in the ruins, which paid off in the end. But we have a list and a name to scratch, so we gotta defeat her. With that done, we return to base to find the first wave of Brightshade plants. Yippee! The first wave is always the most difficult, as you still don't have planar weapons to deal with them. And the crystal rain plus nightmare creatures frequently spawning didn't make it easier for me, even as Wolfgang. This is fun. I'm glad they are making the endgame content fun. There goes my Glommer. Watch him as he goes. There goes my Glommer. It's ordinary. But with bright shade husks in hands, I can now go mine for the pure brilliance and craft the new items. Using a construction amulet, I've managed to craft a bright shade staff, helmet and smasher. The helmet and staff are for the future bright shade waves, and the smasher is for mining brilliance a little easier. A cool little Wolfgang tech I realized only on the second wave is using ice dumbbells to freeze them, and then dealing with them one by one. Anyway, we got more brilliance and now a bright shade sword. It's autumn, so we got more brilliance and more bright shades. And we finally go on a hunt to find a Varg. I'm using this strategy from Arkwell, where you use a bait for the hounds and deal with the Varg alone. For some reason, when you kill the Varg, a weird behavior happens where they end up destroying the pen and eating the bait, so I had to rebuild it. And only then actually fight the mutated Varg. For this strategy to work, you must first bait the Varg to spawn hounds, and then bring it far enough so the hounds won't aggro on you when you attack the Varg. Be careful to not kill the hounds, as they will turn into the Ahur version and their behavior is very different from the normal ones. And then, if you're using a planar damage weapon and attack the Varg when he's using the Ice Breath, by quickly getting behind it, it staggers and you can easily kill it. So the first of the mutated bosses has been defeated. Seconds after the fight, Bearger decided to spawn. But unfortunately, the rift despawned, and if you kill Bearger now, he will not turn into the mutated version. You can check if the rift is still active by just looking at the map. The icon vanishes when the rift closes. Right now, there are 4 bosses left out of the 20, and those are Bearger and his mutated version, Crystal Deerclops, and the Ancient Weaver. Since the Beargers and Deerclops are all locked behind a time requirement, I decided to fight Weaver. And even though I have found a spot in the ruins where I could teleport to the Atrium, we have the time and we want to feel the pain of poorly designed requirements for bosses, so we look for the right Tentapillar to find the Atrium. It does take a little while, but we find it, and it is infested with bishops, but we make our way through it, reaching the arena. We restore our sanity by using a big queen crown and standing near this obelisk. And then we fight Weaver. And we built the wrong skeleton and we forgot the hammer. Oops. Luckily the water pain is able to destroy it. Only 2 charges wasted, it could be worse. Anyway, as I only had 1 water pain, I brought the bright shade staff just in case. It is not as effective as the water pain, but it is a somewhat decent alternative to it. As Wolfgang, not only I'm dealing double damage, but the Lunar Affinity also gives me an even bigger boost, which makes this fight a piece of cake. And we are back on the surface at day 80. Unfortunately, the rift only reveals itself on the minimap on its last stage. Before that, if you want to find it, let's say to confirm that it exists, you just gotta walk around until you find it. As I said, we have time, so that's what we did. Luckily, it didn't take that long to find it. The rift doesn't need to be fully grown for the mutated bosses to spawn, so we immediately go for Bearger once we confirmed the rift is active. And with normal Bearger defeated, it is armored Bearger time. Oh my gosh, what is happening to Bearger? He's no longer friend. Okay, it just starts with that. Okay. Bearger, I'm gonna need your help here. Let's make this a fair fight, okay? Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Bearger wants a 1v1. Fair and square. There you go. Thank you, Bearger. You're awesome. You know what? Because of that, I'm gonna allow you to hit me once. No! Stop! Bearger! Only once! You cheated! God damn it, I'm actually getting wrecked. This might be a little bit disappointing, but I will remind you again that this was recorded during the beta, and Clay has decided that 2 weeks of testing were not enough to make any permanent decisions on the boss's attacks, behavior, and mechanics, and decided to change this fight and Deerclopses only after the official release. I guess since the game is too easy now, they had to pull a fast one on us, making us believe the fights are simple enough throughout the beta, just to get us overconfident in our hardcore words. And we all know, overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. Enough ranting, let me show how to actually fight it now. But who knows at this point, it might change again tomorrow, so keep that in mind. Now, Bearger will only butt slam after you deal a certain amount of damage. So you can bait the normal attack, wait for Bearger to lower the hand, and then attack. If you don't wait, it will swipe again. But I prefer to get behind it and give it a few slaps on the butt. And remember, 3 swipes, 1 slam. That's the pattern of attacks. Once you deal enough damage, it will start butt slamming. As you are noticing, this fight is all about the butts. Just don't run away, or the consecutive butt slams might be troublesome. Just get behind him, bait the butt slam, get to the front again, and quickly deal 1 attack with a planar damage weapon to stun it. The changes to the fights don't make any difference in the boss run. It's just a shame that I didn't get to show the current mechanics in a real run. But I can't really blame myself on that one. I already started working in this video a couple days before the updates, not expecting this kind of changes. But you know what they say, it is what it is. And with that, we only have 1 boss left in this run. If you have watched this video here on screen, you know a while ago I have defeated all bosses in 65 days. Well, all bosses besides Bearger, because I had to wait from day 65 to 76, since that's the exact day count when Bearger decided to spawn on that particular run. I had to wait an hour and a half for the last boss to spawn, and we all know history repeats itself. This time I had to wait from day 82 to 91, the first day of winter, so I could fight Deerclops. So with quite literally nothing else to do, I decided to work on my base. You might have noticed that it kind of needs and deserves some work. Then I guess I will cue a little montage of the progress. And at day 91, first day of winter, I lit the hostile flare that has a 60% chance of spawning Deerclops during winter. She spawns, I kill her as usual, and she mutates. Does she smile while crystallized? We can check. Oh, she does! Look at her, she happy! She happy. Oh my god, Mactusk! No! Where did you even come from? Oh, she's dealing with it. And there we go. The final boss of the run. Give me my fang that I worked very hard to get. World record! Let's go! Goodbye, Wagstaff. Goodbye, base. Goodbye, everything. Now we can do something special to score spawn. Oh my gosh, no way! What is going on? Ah! Look at them go! The easiest way to defeat Armored Bearger is in fact to have it fight another 100 Armored Beargers. Look at them. As fun as that was, once again this fight was recorded on the beta branch, and it did change a little bit. To defeat her, you have to bait her to cast 2 icicles on you. While she's recharging, you have to deal fire damage which stuns her. After getting back up, same as Bearger, you must deal a certain amount of damage until she can be stunned again. During that time, you must bait 3 melee attacks by circling her, and deal damage when she's chilling for a few seconds. If you stay far, she will throw icicles on you again. Once you deal enough damage, the freezing AoE will return and you must set her on fire again, and repeats. And that is the end of this run, all 20 major bosses in 91 days. Looking back at my 65 days run, this new run is very inefficient in comparison. Not only I got unluckier, but the overall pace was much slower. But in the end, it didn't matter because we still had to wait for Deerclops. But a faster run is possible. I have no current plans on trying it because I am burnt out from trying to speedrun Celestial Champion, mainly because of the several RNG goals. But if you manage to defeat Celestial Champion before day 30, a rift will appear by the end of winter, which means you can kill Crystal Deerclops first year, and the next cap would be Bearger once again. I've come close to achieving that before, the sub 30 Celestial Champion that is. So I know it is factually possible, just very RNG dependent. So if you wanna give it a go, good luck. As for the Wolfgang's placement on the tier list, I still think it's A tier. Being slightly faster as normal Wolfgang is not as impactful as it sounds, and the new tech with the ice dumbbells has its requirements, though it isn't the fastest method. The ability to critical hit trees and rocks is really nice, but is not comparable with other characters' abilities to harvest and gather, so it's just merely convenient. And pretty much everything else does not impact boss runs in any major way, so while the character has some cool perks now, its overall power and efficiency is only slightly improved. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Just like my Woody run, this was also recorded on Twitch, so if you want to hang out with us over there, we'll be happy to have you. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and like the video and leave a comment if you can, to help push this video out for more people. The better videos like this performs, more videos like it will come out in the future and sooner. And as always, thank you for watching.